What's up, Fantasy Football Universe? This is SC Romero here to bring you some insight on another Devy Diamond. Today, we're talking about a three-star prospect that rose all the way up to potentially being the RB1 of the 2025 class. Who are we talking about? Ohio State's new running back, Quinshon Judkins. That's today's Devy Diamond right after this. So thank you for joining me today. Again, I am SC Romero of the Fantasy Football Universe here to discuss Devy Diamonds. Now, today's Devy Diamond is none other than Quinshon Judkins. Let's go a little bit back and talk a little history about him. First, as a true freshman, he took the nation by storm in the SEC at Ole Miss, Mississippi. For those that don't know who Ole Miss is, ran for over 1,500 yards, had 1,567 yards in his freshman season alone, averaging 5.7 yards per carry. Just a phenomenal rookie season, or freshman season, I should say, as a freshman prospect. And he kind of slowed down a little bit in his sophomore year, but still had a phenomenal season. In his sophomore season at Ole Miss, he had 1,158 yards, averaging about 4.3 yards per carry, but had 22 receptions for 149 yards. I say this because yes, he did digress as far as his yardage and his yards per carry. He did get more receptions, did get more receiving yards as well. And he's had 34 touchdowns just in his first two seasons alone. And why this is important is because this was in the SEC. SEC for really this past couple decades, I guess you could say, has really evolved into just a powerhouse conference. Whenever you put up numbers in the SEC, you're already looked at as a great prospect because they know the competition is fierce down there in the southeastern part of the nation. There, you talk about your Floridas, now you have Texas in there, you have Tennessee, you even have Georgia, Alabama, just tons of talent on both sides of the ball that make it a very difficult conference all around. So whenever an athlete comes in as a true freshman and does work like Quinshon did, you definitely have to keep him on your radar. Now, this past season, he finished his season at Ole Miss, and then during that offseason, he entered the transfer portal. He was a hot commodity coming out of Ole Miss as one of the top prospects in the transfer portal. And ironically, not ironically, but confused me a little bit when he committed to his other university, and that's Ohio State University. Why it confused me is because they already had a top running back prospect in Travion Henderson, who's battled through injury. People talk about his injury prone ability, I guess you can say, and that he kind of avoids contact. He's not taking that contact as he should. He's not necessarily doing the right things. He looks like a great runner, but he's very there's question marks on him. Like, can he stay healthy? If he's not drawing that contact in, great. But at the pros, you're at any level, you're going to take contact, and that's a worry on Travion Henderson is how he receives that contact there. And so what they did, Ryan Day there brought in an elite running back in Quinshon Judkins. Now, this will be the first season that Quinshon Judkins is actually in a timeshare, and really we don't know. He might not be in a timeshare. He may be the full-time back and get 200 plus carries, like he has been doing. He might be one of their top guys there, to get majority of the snaps. It's not really a 60-40, it's more like a 70-30 with him and Travion. That's gonna be something to pay attention to, because Travion Henderson may actually be one of those backs that less is more. What I mean by that is he may get less work, but more production out of that work that he's receiving. Where Quinshon, we're going to see, is he a bell cow back that needs that work to be productive, or will he continue to be productive even with sharing that backfield with them? It'll be an interesting concept to see what they do, especially with Chip Kelly there in Ohio State. What are they going to do with these two backs? Because this is arguably the best backfield in the nation right now at Ohio State. Again, arguably, you can argue other backfields as well if you want, but this is arguably the best backfield in the nation right now, with Quinshon Judkins and Travion Henderson. And Quinshon's gonna go in and take the ground running. It's just how much of an opportunity are they going to get? We know the talent is there. We know he can produce. He did it in the SEC for 2 straight seasons. Going to the Big Ten. Big Ten shouldn't be slept on. They have, good front sevens there as well. So it is going to be tough for him still, but we know what he is capable of. So now let's see, okay, if you are splitting the ball 50-50, 55-45, whatever it may be, can he still put up that work? Or do they bring him in again for that less is more for Travion Henderson? Time will tell for that. Let's talk a little bit about what Quinshon could do. He's a shoulder down type of runner. He knows how to absorb that contact. He has great contact balance. He doesn't go down with ease. He actually goes into it. He has that strength to run through the defenders. He also has that footwork to be elusive and cut through the defenders as well. He knows how to get in and out of his holes correctly. He knows how to break. He can run correctly. He runs uphill. He runs with that strength. He fights for that extra yardage. Feet always moving forward. He's a juggernaut, if you will, because he's one of those backs that if he starts gaining that momentum, yeah, he's probably gonna power through you. If you give him 5-10 yards of just open space and then you try to tackle him, good luck, because once he gets that momentum and his feet are moving, it becomes even more difficult to bring him down. Now his best feat, I would say, is that initial time off the snap, the initial burst off the snap, if you will. He is just phenomenal. It's kind of like he's like 0 to 60 in like a second, in a sense, because as soon as the ball gets snapped, he is gone. He is hitting that hole. He knows what he needs to do. He's elusiveness enough to become small if he needs to get through the tight gaps as well. But he also has that footwork and that strength to power through those bigger guys up front and make it to that next zone, if you will, after those first 10 yards and everything like that. Now his top end speed, I wouldn't say is necessarily there. He does have some breakaway speed, don't get me wrong, but he doesn't really necessarily have that second gear. He can get caught from behind. In a foot race, he can beat the linebackers, but your top safeties, your elite cornerbacks can chase him down. So that's there, like the initial acceleration is really there, but then that top end speed, that second gear, if you will, isn't necessarily there. At least I don't see it there. Don't get me wrong, though, he can win that race, but sometimes the defenders can catch him as well. He's nothing like he's not the speediest running back, if you will. He's a little bit impatient as a runner. Again, it possibly is because that initial acceleration coming off the snap on what he can do. He doesn't necessarily wait for his blocks to be made. Now, not that that's a con, because he makes it work and he knows how to get through the defenders as well. But it is a con in the sense of, man, if you had just a tad bit more patience, maybe you gain an extra couple yards because they were able to get that block and that guy's now not coming behind you. Where instead, you pass through your blockers and now the defender has to maneuver, and they maneuver because they see you pass them, they go get you. So a little bit of hesitation there in the patient blocking and his pass protection. He does good in pass protection. He can pick up those blitz occasionally, but at the same time, that is still an area of improvement. Sometimes he misses those picks as well to get that block, for the quarterback to have a little bit extra time in the pocket as well. So you want to see that become a little bit better for him as well. But overall, he is an elite prospect. I know in a lot of Devy communities, he is the RB1 right now, especially RB1 in that 2025 class. I'm not mad about it. Excuse me. My only thing is I want to see how he does in a timeshare. The benefit is him going into a timeshare is you have a lot of teams in the NFL that are actually transitioning to a committee type of backfield. And not necessarily committee as everyone's getting a piece of the pie, but committee as far as they have multiple backs on their roster. So they are able to give their RB1 a breather here and there. So with him doing this, we're going to see exactly how he can fit in an NFL type of committee back, because we know he can be a bell cow back. So we know if he goes to a team that needs that bell cow runner, he can go out there and dominate because we've seen him get 200 carries. We know he can do that. What we don't know is how he does with that competition eating into his carries more. How he's doing with the back that's also getting maybe possibly 100 carries as well. He hasn't seen that yet in his career. So now we're gonna see exactly what that can do. I do believe he's gonna be a first round prospect this year. I think that's what consensus has him. I have him as that too. I think this year we possibly see two running backs go in the first round, possibly. That's gonna depend on Ollie Gordon and what kind of season he has as well. If he comes out and dominates again, then he might slip into that first round just because of that dominance as well. But that's a discussion for another day. With Quinshon, though, I think he is first round. I think he can make that maneuver. The question will be is, will the RB or the NFL see the RB market as that? Where this class is actually very deep. We had the 2024 rookie class where, you can argue it's one of the weaker running back classes. This one's really deep. You have um, off the top, maybe you can argue at least 8 to 10 guys that possibly go day two, as far as day one and day two, 8 to 10 running backs off the board, which is phenomenal for running back situation. Quinshon being one of those guys that can go day one. The ideal landing spot for me right now is the Dallas Cowboys. Now, if you look at the Dallas Cowboys roster right now, they have Ezekiel Elliott, they have Rico Dowdell, they have Deuce Vaughn. I think they brought in Royce Freeman, something like that. They don't really have that true bell cow. I think they're gonna, rely on Dak and CD again this year. You could throw in Jake Ferguson if you want, maybe Brandon Cooks, maybe Ryan Fournier as well. But they're gonna rely on Dak and CD. The running back they trust Ezekiel Elliott enough that they brought him back to say, hey, we don't really have anyone else. We just need a sustainable running game. So we want you to come in and do it. Will he do that? Who knows? Will it be Rico Dowdell? Will it be Deuce Vaughn? Who knows? The question is, though, they had an opportunity to get Jonathan Brooks. They didn't do that. They had an opportunity to get Trey Benson. They didn't do that. That was, to me, what I saw a lot of mocks. And then what I actually mocked them doing, either Jonathan Brooks or Trey Benson, and they refused to do both. And so what that tells me is they're sold on an RB, running back in this next class that they're going to be higher on than what consensus may be. What I mean by that is consensus in the NFL. Well, I think Quinshon's that guy. I think they love what they see in Quinshon. They know he's coming out. I mean, assuming he does, there is a possibility he could stay. He could stay another year at Ohio State. But if he comes out, this is a phenomenal prospect to be. You talk about a team that wants a bell cow top of running back. Dallas Cowboys want that. And Quinshon Judkins can and will be that bell cow rack to rack up really what Ezekiel Delia did in his earlier years with the Dallas Cowboys. They're just going to get that over with Quinshon Judkins. Zeke was a phenomenal running back in his early career. He has lost a step here and there, but Quinshon's going to go out there and be that running back that just alleviates that pressure off from Dak, open up play action opportunities, but also just become a great running team. Something that they've been missing or lacking for the past couple seasons, and they need that. So now you're going to get a guy like Quinshon do it. The thing is, I don't think they need to draft him as early as what Bijan went, top 10, or even what Jameer Gibbs did. I think was pick 11 overall. They don't need to necessarily get him as well that early. I think this next class is going to be very defensive heavy. You'll get some receivers in there. You may get a couple quarterbacks, and then the running back. The Cowboys are in the 20th, 20 to 26 range when it comes to picking. They'll be okay getting Quinshon there. They may trade up to try again because maybe someone scares them. The Raiders are another team that I think maybe a target to get after Quinshon because I think they may need a running back next year. But I think the Dallas Cowboys would just be the perfect fit. And if he goes there, the fantasy community is gonna go wild. The fantasy community is gonna go crazy and be like, "Oh, Quinshon Judkins gonna be the workhorse back. He's gonna be this guy." And yeah, rightfully so, which would actually potentially elevate him to the number one overall pick in your 2025 rookie drafts. That, yeah, even in super flex, I would say that even over your Quinn Ewers, your Carson Becks, things like that. I think Quinshon, if he gets drafted to the Dallas Cowboys, could make that argument to be the 101 in your rookie drafts as the RB1 of that 2025 class. As a fantasy producer, he's going to be relevant out the gate. He's going to go in there. He's going to get you yardage. He's going to get you carries. He's going to be involved in the receiving work. He's going to get touchdowns as well. He's just going to be the total package, if you will. Bijan, I think it was a better prospect coming out, and we've seen what Bijan does. I think Quinshon could do that opportunity as well. Again, landing spot will matter because I feel we're really going to see this year, as I mentioned, what he can do in a split timeshare in that backfield. And if he does that there and does work and still gets over 1,000 yards, I think he's going to be phenomenal. It's really, I think he needs to get anywhere um between, he needs to average just over 5.2 yards per carry, maybe just about 1,000 yards in this season to be considered that first round running back. If not, then we may see him slips it down too. But regardless, I think he out the gate he can get as a rookie running back in the NFL. He can get 200 to 250 carries as a rookie. I think he's that dominant. We've seen that. We see what he can do. So I really like his upside as a fantasy prospect. If you have him in Devy drafts and you're doing Devy startups, he's definitely a prospect you want because regardless if that time stretch slips, he's still a very talented athlete, and he definitely is someone that will benefit your fantasy team when he gets to the pros as well. But that's all we have for our Devy Diamond today. Again, that was Devy Diamond, Quinshon Judkins, Ohio State running back. Until next time, I am SC Romero of the Fantasy Football Universe. You can find me on X at the PPR Show where I talk about more Devy prospects. Check out our Devy Dash where I break down some film as well. But these are the Devy Diamonds. Until next time, peace.